Greetings, everyone. I want to talk to you a little bit about cults. That's a name that the institutional church lays on anybody that disagrees with them. And granted, some of those organizations are cults and cultic. But it's been brought to my attention that certain people that have been listening to my videos and read my books and have tried to share these things with institutional church people and with their pastors are accused of being cultists, which baffles me because I challenge anybody to go through my some 35 books and find one single doctrine that I teach that isn't consistent with the scripture and the historic church. And by historic church, I don't mean the modern church that bought into futurism, that bought into raptures, that bought into tithing, that bought into Christmas and Easter and all of this kind of junk that cannot be substantiated by the scripture. You can't find it there. Yet these same people that are being called cultists are simply sharing the work that I've done with these people that are caught up in institutionalism. Not one of those institutionalists has ever challenged me on a single doctrine. They would have to go through, some 2,000 videos and audios. Many have gone missing on YouTube. I know that, perhaps 500. But that's a lot of material. They would have to go through all of my books, which in the last 10 years amounts to about 35. That is theology books. I've written other books, but we're talking about theology. Yet I'm teaching the historic doctrines of the church. I'm teaching what the scripture teaches, what the apostles taught. Yet these same institutionalists will turn and accuse me of being cultic. How can I possibly be cultic? Where is the evidence? There is none. There's not a shred of it. This is just a Christian bias, a religious bias, religious bigotry, religious prejudice. If anybody wants to accuse me of these things, give me the evidence. I've been accused of all kinds of things. Never has anybody presented the evidence. Oh, Reg said this. Reg said this about me specifically. Never. They can never bring that forward. It's always very opinionated, but never factually based. Lately, some of the people who listen to me have been accused of being cultists or following a cult because they use the 1611 authorized King James Bible. Now, that makes me laugh. The very Bible that delivered people from the bondage of the beast, the Roman Catholic Church, the very Bible that delivered them, they're now calling people who follow that cultists. How can that possibly be? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Yet, it doesn't surprise me that there's a high level of religious bigotry. Because if you teach the pure doctrines of the scripture and the historic church, there is no opportunity for pastors to make a career. See, that's the problem. Follow the money trail. That's what we're talking about here. The whole institutional church system, the seminaries, the publishers, they're all in bed together. And it's all about money. And so if you teach the historic doctrines of the church, well, there's no tithing. So that's done. They can't put that pressure on people. I challenge anybody to show me tithing in the New Testament church. Not there. It's free will giving. You can't trap people into that kind of a model unless you've brainwashed them into accepting tithing. I would call that cultic. And these same institutional churches that are in bed with the seminaries and the publishers, they don't want to run afoul of the publishers and the seminaries. And if you do teach the historic doctrines of the church, that is what the scripture teaches, that is what the apostles wrote down, that which Jesus told them to teach, if you teach those things and stay with the purity of scripture, there is no opportunity for publishers to publish thousands of Bibles. And if you teach out of the 1611 and explain to people why that's the crowning jewel of the Reformation, and there's no other Bible after that. No need for revision. The 1611 that came off the press in 1611 is a static testimony. It's done. There's nothing to fix. They fixed everything. So if you teach that, there's no opportunity for the publishers to publish some 900 Bibles that they do and keep doing that. There's no opportunity in the seminaries for these so-called scholars to teach from the Alexandrian manuscripts and teach from the corrupt Bibles. As long as they teach from the corrupt Bibles, they promote the publishers. The publishers are happy. And as long as they do that, and they come out of pastor school with a piece of paper, a certification to preach, show me that in the New Testament. Never. Your appointment comes from Christ, not from man. As soon as they come out of that organization and they're part of that system, they're inserted into a pastoral situation, and their income and their livelihood is tied to that. And so anything that threatens that, they say, well, that's a cult. If you teach the historic doctrines of the church and you teach what's in the scripture, there's no opportunity for career pastors. Was Paul a career pastor? No, read the scripture. Were the apostles career pastors? No, read the scriptures. That's our model, people, not the model of the institutional churches. And so they don't like me. The same institutionalists cut from the same cloth at the time of Jesus. That would have been the synagogue, the scribes and Pharisees. They hated him and wanted him to be removed, referred to him basically as cultic and wacky and crazy. These same people are the ones who killed him. If we follow the teaching of Jesus, these people would have no opportunity to squeeze the population of Israel for money through their temple and their corrupt practices and all the business deals these guys were making because they bought the high priest position from Herod. Whoever had the most money could buy that position. Then they had influence in society and in business. These are the same people that murdered Jesus. These are the same people, the same spirit and the same brand that now occupies the institutional churches. And they are desperately threatened by anybody who actually teaches the historic doctrines of the church with authority, with knowledge, and with scriptural support. Anybody who does that, they do not like. You must teach their doctrines, the things that propel and perpetrate their economic system. The Christian industrial commercial complex, concerts, big churches, tithing, all of this sort of thing, multiple Bibles. I teach against all those things. If you listen to me and you listen to the scripture, you will hear, is this what Jesus meant when he said, you will hear my voice if you are my followers, another you won't follow? Is his voice not contained in the scriptures? And if we follow that, are we not hearing the voice of Jesus? But when we follow the doctrines and traditions of men, such as in the institutional churches, are we not following another voice? Maybe not all the time, but by and large. Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice. A stranger they will not follow. So people, I encourage you, if you meet with persecution and are called cultists because you don't teach the things or believe the things the institutional church pushes on you to fuel their Christian industry, if you stand against those things, you will be put on the outside. They don't want you in there, and they don't want people like me teaching you the things that liberate you. Jesus said, the Son of Man, the truth, will make you free. Make you free. Not set you free. Make you free. Your freedom is a process. The minute you're saved, you still have certain sins and bondages that may take years and years to get free of. But you are free in the sense that Jesus declares you're one of his. So people, let me encourage you. It's a lonely road. It's much easier to jump in with the institutional churches, get into all their debates about raptures and the Antichrist and all this kind of junk that goes nowhere. and is not found in Scripture. There's no basis for their arguments. Yet it fuels a huge industry. The seminaries love it. The publishers love it. The churches love it. And they've got all their some 900 Bibles in English that they can choose from. And they're in a state of confusion. If you teach the absence of confusion, one Bible, the Reformation Bible, the 1611, it ends there. There's no confusion left. You don't have to debate, well, should I read the Matthews Bible? Should I look at the Coverdale? How about the Tyndale? No, you understand the 1611 fixed those problems. All the modern Bibles come from a different documentary source, from Egypt, from the Gnostics. You don't want a Gnostic Bible. The Catholic Bibles are Gnostic Bibles, same documents, same manuscripts. You want the Bible that came from the Antiochian manuscripts and ends at 1611. And again, I stress, it's not the KJV 1769 that most people read and think is the King James Bible. That's a very different Bible than what came off the press in 1611. That Bible fits more into the modern Bible trend, much better than the other modern Bibles, but still, there's a lot of dirt in the oil. The 1611 took the dirt out of the oil. So, does that make me a cult leader? If you believe that, does that make you a cultist? That you believe the very Bible that delivered millions of people from the belly of the beast, the 1611, that's the one. So that makes you a cultist? Yet the people in the institutional church will say, well, because you believe that, you're a cultist. We have all these Bibles, and we have all these great scholars who came out of the seminary, and our pastor's a good man, and he knows Greek. I've never met a pastor who knows Greek. A few conversational phrases in Greek reveals that they know nothing. If you say to the average pastor or person who says they know Greek something like posise, they think you've got 3 heads. But yet, that's Greek for how are you? Surely if you claim to know Greek, you would know one of the most basic phrases in any language. How are you? Posise. There's lots of phrases like that in Greek that you can easily learn, and when you meet with these hypocrites and they claim, I know Greek, this only applies if you're meeting face to face and you can say the words. Posise. I guarantee they're going to look at you like you got 3 heads. They'll have no answer because they don't know Greek. They know what they've been taught at the seminaries, but they can't speak Greek. You don't know a language unless you can speak it. Thank you for listening. Don't let anybody tell you you're a cultic person or that I'm a cult leader or anybody who believes in the 1611 Bible or the historic doctrines of the church before all the futurism and all the other junk crept in. Don't let anybody tell you that that's a cult. This little tail end we've got here of a few hundred years, that's the cult. God bless you. Thank you for listening.